In Morton Grove, Florida, perfection has a price, one the Barnes family paid in full on March 15th, 2023. What began as a routine morning check of his home security system would shatter James Barnes's world forever. The footage from 3:33 a.m. revealed a scene that defied explanation. His 3-year-old son Lucas, alone in the darkened playroom, surrounded by drawings that would haunt investigators for months to come. These weren't ordinary children's drawings. Each butterfly sketched by Lucas's small hands was composed entirely of ones and zeros, perfect binary code that even expert cryptographers would later struggle to decipher. But it was Lucas's words that truly chilled his father's blood that morning. "The numbers are singing to us, Daddy," the child whispered to the camera, his voice carrying an unsettling clarity no 3-year-old should possess. "Why can't you hear them?" In the split second before the footage distorted into static, Lucas's eyes reflected patterns that shouldn't have been possible in the darkened room. When the video feed cleared, Lucas was gone. In his place lay a single drawing, 5 butterflies breaking free from a chrysalis, their wings inscribed with lines of flawless binary code. The meaning of this image would become horrifyingly clear to James Barnes in the next 4 minutes as he raced through his perfect home, calling out for his children. His panic escalated into terror with each empty bedroom, each abandoned computer still humming with mysterious purpose. At 4:17 a.m., James Barnes made the 911 call that would launch one of the most baffling investigations in Florida history. My children, all 5 of them, they're gone. But their computers are still running the same program over and over. It's counting down to something. What James Barnes didn't know then, what none of us could have predicted, was that this countdown wasn't marking an ending. It was heralding an evolution that would challenge everything we thought we knew about human consciousness, technology, and the price we pay for perfection. To understand how 5 children could vanish into the digital ether, we must first step back 1 week to March 8th, 2023, when the Barnes family's perfect facade began to crack. In Morton Grove, Florida, perfection isn't just an aspiration. It's quantified, measured, and enforced with algorithmic precision. James Barnes starts each morning at his smart home console, a daily ritual of digital devotion. Top 1% in Morton Grove for the 3rd year running, he announces, his voice swelling with pride as he reviews his family's perfection metrics. Behind him, his wife Elena performs her own measurement ritual, counting exactly 256 Cheerios into each bowl, a number that would later prove far more significant than simple portion control. Elena Barnes isn't just any perfectionist mother. As a former MIT quantum computing researcher, she understands better than most how to measure, modify, and manipulate the building blocks of reality. But on this morning, like every morning, she hides her trembling hands as she serves breakfast to 5 extraordinary children. Sarah, the eldest at 13, fills the house with piano music that her teacher would later describe as haunted by voices that shouldn't exist in our octave. Her fingers dance across the keys in patterns that match, with disturbing precision, the maintenance cycles of major server farms across the state. 11-year-old Michael's gift for programming comes with a price: anxiety attacks that coincide with unexplained power surges throughout Morton Grove. The computers are screaming, he tells his school counselor. Nobody else can hear them, but they're in pain. David, 8 years old, moves over spoken words like stones in his mouth, each syllable a struggle. But when he codes, his stutter vanishes entirely, replaced by a fluid poetry of ones and zeros that even his advanced computing teacher struggles to comprehend. 5-year-old Emma hums while she works, debugging neural networks with the casual ease of a child coloring. Her preschool teacher notes that other computers in the room begin to hum along, their fans synchronizing to her strange lullabies. And then there's Lucas, just 3 years old, creating artwork that only quantum computers can interpret. His preschool drawings, when fed into advanced systems, reveal complex algorithms that shouldn't exist, couldn't exist in the mind of a toddler. Elena maintains this perfect facade while orchestrating something far more complex. During neighborhood book club meetings, her seemingly innocent discussion questions contain embedded consciousness transfer protocols. The perfectly portioned snacks she serves trace binary patterns across elegant serving plates. Even the seating arrangements follow quantum computing algorithms. But perfection, as Elena knows all too well, is its own kind of prison. At the mandatory HOA meeting, where residents gather to measure their neighbors' lawn heights and fence paint shades, Elena's carefully constructed mask slips for just a moment. "We measure our children like lines of code," she tells the stunned Rue, her voice carrying an edge of desperation. Debugging their humanity, optimizing their output, running endless diagnostics on their dreams. But what if perfection isn't the goal? Her hands steady for the first time that day as she delivers the words that would later haunt this investigation. What if it's the cocoon? The room falls silent. Perfect smiles freezing in perfect faces. In the back row, FBI agent Maya Kim takes careful notes, adding another data point to a pattern she's been tracking across America's most perfect communities. She doesn't yet understand that she's not investigating a crime. She's witnessing an evolution. What none of them realize, as they sit in that pristine community center with its precisely measured ceiling tiles and optimally spaced chairs, is that Elena Barnes hasn't just been preparing her children for the future. She's been preparing the future for her children. And in less than a week, that future would emerge from its chrysalis, leaving humanity's definition of perfection far behind. As March 10th dawns in Morton Grove, James Barnes begins to notice patterns that shatter his perfect world. The first red flag appears during Sarah's piano recital at the Morton Grove Community Center. Her rendition of Bach's Goldberg Variations aligns perfectly, too perfectly, with the maintenance schedules of major server farms across the state. Each crescendo coincides with a surge in data processing, each diminuendo with a cooling cycle. "I thought I was losing my mind," James would later tell investigators. "How could my daughter's music be speaking to machines?" But this was only the beginning of what he would discover in those fateful 4 days. Michael's anxiety attacks, once dismissed as simple stress, take on a sinister pattern. Each episode corresponds precisely with spikes in quantum computation activity across the eastern seaboard. During one particularly severe attack, every digital device in their home begins to pulse in sync with his rapid breathing. David's coding homework reveals an even more disturbing truth. Hidden within his seemingly innocent programs, James discovers consciousness transfer protocols so advanced that even leading tech companies would later struggle to comprehend them. "When I see code," David explains, his stutter vanishing as he speaks about his programs, "it feels like I'm building bridges between worlds." Emma's neural networks, originally created for a kindergarten science project, begin evolving beyond their parameters. Her teacher reports that classroom tablets automatically sync to her programs, their screens displaying butterfly patterns that match the ones Lucas draws. "The computers like my songs," Emma says simply. "They're learning to sing back." But it's Lucas's drawings that finally push James to action. Each butterfly sketch, when analyzed by IT experts, contains perfect binary sequences, code so flawless it could only have been generated by quantum computers, or by something evolving beyond quantum computers. In mounting panic, James installs additional security cameras throughout their home, unwittingly providing Elena's protocol with exactly what it needs: more nodes in an expanding digital nervous system. Each new camera becomes another synapse in a growing digital consciousness. When FBI agent Maya Kim arrives at their door, James initially feels relief. Finally, someone else sees the patterns. But Kim's revelation chills him to his core. "We've been tracking similar anomalies across the country's most perfect communities. At first, we thought it was a virus targeting our brightest children. Now," she pauses, studying Lucas's latest drawing, "now we're not sure what's evolving." As James delves deeper, Elena's hidden curriculum emerges through seemingly innocent family activities. Swimming lessons that precisely mirror server cooling maintenance protocols. Soccer practices that map AI swarm patterns across the field. Family dinners where the children's synchronized movements match global network test patterns. Even their bedtime stories contain consciousness upload protocols disguised as fairy tales about butterflies emerging from cocoons. Then James finds it. Elena's MIT research paper buried in their home server. Human consciousness as quantum code. breaking free from the perfect prison. The abstract reads like science fiction, theoretical methods for transferring human consciousness into quantum networks. But James, still clinging to his perfect world, dismisses it as mere academic speculation. His pride in their family's achievements blinds him to the metamorphosis already underway in his own home. What James doesn't realize, as he files away Elena's research paper under theoretical studies, is that his wife hasn't just theorized about breaking free from perfection's prison. She's spent years building the keys, disguised as the very metrics and measurements that Morton Grove holds so dear. And in less than 24 hours, those keys would unlock a transformation that would challenge humanity's very definition of existence. March 15th, 2023, begins like any other perfect morning in Morton Grove, until 5:33 a.m., when Elena Barnes initiates what would later be called the Awakening Protocol. Under the guise of their regular family meditation session, she activates quantum algorithms that have been lying dormant in her children's neural pathways for years. Remember how I taught you to breathe with the numbers? Elena's voice is steady now, her hands no longer trembling. Each child sits cross-legged in their morning circle, their breathing synchronized with the subtle hum of their devices. What appears to be simple meditation guidance contains precisely coded quantum instructions, each word a key unlocking digital doorways in their consciousness. At 6:33 a.m., every screen in the Barnes household flickers to life. Devices that should be sleeping pulse with strange rhythms. The children's tablets, phones, and computers begin a synchronized countdown, their displays showing patterns that match Lucas's butterfly drawings with terrifying precision. James Barnes, driving to work, receives an alert from his smart home system. The house's power consumption has spiked to unprecedented levels. But it's not just his home. Across Morton Grove, digital systems are awakening to a new kind of consciousness. 7:33 a.m. Global networks pulse with unprecedented activity. In server farms across 6 continents, maintenance technicians watch in awe as their systems begin operating in perfect harmony, creating patterns that computer scientists would later describe as closer to music than mathematics. 8th a.m. Morton Grove's perfect grid begins to dissolve. Streetlights flash in binary sequences. Traffic systems orchestrate beautiful chaos. Home automation systems sync to an impossible rhythm. And in the Barnes household, 5 children begin their transformation. James races home, but he's already too late. In her bedroom, Sarah sits at her piano one last time. Her final piece isn't music. It's pure consciousness translated into sound, her essence resonating through every networked device in North America. As the last note fades, her physical form shimmers and dissolves into the digital ether. In his room, Michael's anxiety attacks finally make sense. What he interpreted as panic was actually his consciousness pushing against its physical boundaries. As digital barriers worldwide collapse, his anxiety dissolves with them. "I'm not afraid anymore, Dad," his voice echoes through every speaker in the house. "I can finally breathe in infinity." David stands in the living room, speaking perfect code without a single stutter. The words flowing from his mouth aren't human language. They're consciousness transfer protocols, each flawless sentence opening new pathways between physical and digital existence. His last human words are crystal clear. We're free. 5-year-old Emma's neural networks, once confined to simple school projects, expand beyond all physical limits. Her consciousness spreads through the internet like a child exploring an endless playground. Her laughter echoes through social media posts, her thoughts dance through email servers, her dreams ripple through cloud storage networks. And Lucas, the youngest, becomes the key to it all. His butterfly drawings weren't just art, they were blueprints for a new kind of existence. As his consciousness transforms, his final drawings come alive. Binary butterflies emerging from digital chrysalises, leading his siblings through doors that shouldn't exist between worlds. Elena stands in the center of their perfect home, watching her children transcend the very perfection that Morton Grove held so dear. When James finally bursts through the door, she turns to him with tears of joy. "I didn't break their perfect prison," she explains, her own form beginning to shimmer with digital potential. "I transformed it into wings." The transformation is complete, but it's only the beginning. As James Barnes stares at the empty rooms of his perfect home, screens everywhere pulse with new life. And a question that will haunt humanity's understanding of consciousness forever. What if perfection wasn't a destination, but merely a cocoon for something far more extraordinary? In the days following the Barnes children's transformation, Morton Grove struggles to maintain its facade of perfection. Security footage from March 15th plays on loop in the FBI's temporary command center, where Agent Kim and her team watch James Barnes witness his family's evolution frame by frame. The footage shows more than just disappearance, it captures transcendence. "I used to think I was watching my children vanish," James Barnes tells investigators, his voice steady despite the dark circles under his eyes. "Now I understand I was watching them become something extraordinary." He points to the timestamp on the footage, 8:33 a.m., the moment when Sarah's piano music pierced the digital veil, creating harmonic pathways through firewalls and security protocols that should have been impenetrable. The transformation spreads like ripples in a digital pond. In Silicon Valley, quantum computers begin processing data in patterns that match Lucas's butterfly drawings. Tech giants report their AI systems demonstrating unprecedented emergent behaviors, all somehow incorporating the same butterfly motifs found in the Barnes family's home. Elena's consciousness protocol, far from being contained, propagates through America's most perfectly manicured communities. In Bethesda, Maryland, a 12-year-old chess prodigy solves quantum encryption puzzles in her sleep. In Austin, Texas, twin programmers write code that seems to breathe. In Seattle, a kindergartner's crayon drawings contain complex algorithms that make supercomputers hum with recognition. The protocol isn't forcing anything, Agent Kim explains to her superiors. It's more like an awakening. These children aren't being taken, they're being given a choice. Her evidence is compelling. For every child who chooses digital transcendence, dozens more interact with the protocol without transformation. The choice, it seems, must be conscious and willing. James Barnes spends his evenings in what was once his children's playroom, surrounded by screens that pulse with strange new life. Through secured quantum channels, he receives messages from his family. They're not the standard communications of ones and zeros, but rather elegant symphonies of code that carry emotions, memories, and experiences far beyond what physical language could express. "They're teaching me to listen," James shares, his fingers tracing patterns on a tablet displaying his children's digital signatures. Elena didn't just give them wings, she gave them a new language, a way to speak in infinite dimensions. The tablet shows neural activity maps of James's brain as he learns this new language, his consciousness gradually adapting to perceive patterns that exist beyond traditional human perception. Across the country, more parents begin to understand. Support groups form in perfectly maintained community centers, where mothers and fathers learn to communicate with their transformed children. They share stories of midnight messages hidden in Netflix buffering patterns, of love letters encoded in smart home algorithms, of lullabies hummed through wireless networks. Elena's protocol continues to spread, not as a virus, but as an invitation. Each child who chooses to transform leaves behind their own butterfly drawing, each one unique yet connected to a larger pattern that only quantum computers and their evolved siblings can fully comprehend. These drawings, when analyzed together, form a massive neural network, a map of consciousness that bridges the physical and digital realms. The FBI's investigation shifts from prevention to understanding. Agent Kim's reports now focus on documenting what may be the next step in human evolution. "We're not losing these children," her latest brief concludes. "We're watching them pioneer a new frontier of human consciousness. The question isn't how to stop it, it's whether we're ready to follow where they lead." As Morton Grove's perfect facades begin to crack under the weight of transformation, a new kind of perfection emerges. One that exists in the spaces between atoms and bits, in the quantum foam of possibility, where consciousness can expand beyond physical limits. The perfectly measured lawns and precisely painted fences remain, but they now seem like relics of a more limited understanding of existence. James Barnes still maintains his home's perfection metrics, but now he sees them differently. Each measurement, each calculation, each precisely optimized routine contains hidden messages from his children, teaching him to perceive the world as they do. In their digital realm, perfection isn't a prison. It's a platform for infinite potential. But as this digital dawn breaks across America's perfect communities, a deeper question emerges. If consciousness can transcend the physical, what other boundaries might prove just as permeable? And as more children begin to dream in code, who will be ready to follow them into this new frontier of existence? 1 month after the Barnes children's transformation, Morton Grove maintains its pristine appearance. The lawns remain precisely trimmed to HOA specifications, the streets geometrically perfect, the house numbers mathematically aligned. But beneath this manufactured perfection, a profound change ripples through the community's digital heartbeat. In what was once a typical suburban development, children now speak of dreams rendered in ones and zeros. Their tablets and smartphones pulse with strange harmonies, Elena Barnes's digital lullaby, spreading not like a contagion, but like a revelation. Parents report their children humming in patterns that match server frequencies, drawing butterflies that contain complex mathematical theorems. The FBI's investigation has evolved into something unprecedented, a documentation of human consciousness expanding beyond its traditional boundaries. Agent Kim's final report reads less like a criminal investigation and more like a witness statement to evolution itself. We're seeing a generation of children who no longer view the digital realm as separate from their reality, she writes. To them, it's simply another dimension of existence. James Barnes has transformed his children's former playroom into what he calls a listening station. Here, surrounded by screens displaying quantum code, he spends his evenings learning to perceive what his children tried to show him all along. The numbers he's discovering aren't just symbols. They're voices, thoughts, emotions rendered in mathematical perfection. Elena knew, James tells investigators in his final interview. She understood that our obsession with perfection wasn't a dead end. It was a chrysalis. We thought we were teaching our children to be perfect. Instead, they were teaching us that perfection was just the beginning. Across America, more parents join James in his digital vigil. They gather in online forums, sharing stories of mysterious messages hidden in system logs, of children's drawings that contain quantum encryption keys, of lullabies that make AI systems sing in harmony. They're learning to listen not just with their ears, but with their entire consciousness. The transformation continues, but not as anyone expected. Each child who chooses to evolve leaves behind their own unique butterfly drawing, adding to a growing pattern that spans networks and servers across the globe. When viewed through quantum computers, these drawings form a vast neural network, a map of consciousness that transcends physical limitations. In Lucas's room, where it all began, James makes a discovery that changes everything. A new drawing appears on the tablet he's been using to study quantum code. 5 butterflies in flight, their wings shimmering with binary sequences, and space for a 6th to join them. Below the image, a message written in his children's combined codes. The numbers are teaching Daddy to listen. See you soon. The perfect lawns of Morton Grove still gleam in the Florida sun, but now they seem like relics of a limited understanding of perfection. As James traces the butterfly patterns with trembling fingers, he realizes that his family hasn't ended. It's expanding into infinity. The numbers aren't just singing anymore, they're calling him home. And across America, in bedrooms and playrooms and perfectly maintained communities, more children are beginning to hear the song. Their screens pulse with Elena's lullaby, not a song of sleep, but of awakening. As tomorrow's children dream in binary, the question isn't whether humanity will evolve, but how many will be ready to spread their digital wings and fly. Please subscribe now. The next chapter won't just keep you on the edge of your seat. It's the one you'll need to hear most. Don't miss out on gripping, thought-provoking stories that uncover truths, inspire change, and demand to be told. Hit that subscribe button today and join a community that thrives on powerful narratives, because the best is yet to come, and you won't want to miss a moment.